Read in a script earlier on that the death toll has risen to 257.
Yeah, it's a very sad affair. And allow me to say again that the crisis we find ourselves in is big. It's bigger than Kenya, it's bigger than Africa, it's the whole world. And the issue of how and who contributes to the crisis we are facing right now cannot be wished away. And we have to face it head on. And that's why we brought the world to Nairobi last year on the Africa Climate Summit. Because we are saying as Kenya, as Africa, even if we did all that has to be done to stop emissions, it would mean nothing. It would be very insignificant because our contribution is only 4%.
Are we to blame for what's happened here? Are we partly to blame?
Well, we have each one of us has a responsibility. And that's why we are saying we need to do the best we can. And the best solution for us is the nature-based solutions. We are climate dependent in the global south because of the low industrialization levels. So that is why we emphasize on protecting our ecosystems and engaging in tree growing. It is something that we all can do, but we cannot not talk about the contribution of others to the global crisis, and whereby even if Africa did all it could, we would still not move anywhere. Okay. So we have to have commitments from the developed world, and we have to stop the talk shops in our COPs. We are now going to COP 29. We will go to COP 100 if we maintain the status quo. And I mean, we've been talking from 29 years, more than 30 years ago. It is about committing resources to respond to the loss and damage that right now we are in the middle of loss and damage occasioned by climate change. And if the financing that we hear, we had close to $1 billion US announced to the loss and damage fund in Dubai. But if that does not translate to accessible money to respond to such a catastrophe that Kenya is finding itself in, then all we are doing out there under the UNFCCC remains talk shop. And that has to change. And that's the discussion we have been holding. So they have to walk the walk. We have to walk the walk. The money has to be out there. It has to be accessible. It has to be in the right quantum or quantities that would respond to the magnitude of what we see. Okay, Allow me to talk about Friday. Yes, exactly. Like we say, we are commiserating with Kenyans that have lost their lives and those that are still suffering. But we also must stop to think about the long-term solution that we have to engage in. Jeff, we've been engaging in tree planting in this country, and I keep saying that, and I'll not get tired of saying that. But until we engage in a situation where we know that tree planting is about our lives, then we will not move anywhere. And we want to have Kenyans go back to the ABCs of how to plant and grow trees to maturity, because they are going to minimize the impact of flooding when it comes next. They are going to minimize the impact of the drought when it comes next. And because it is something we all can do, we really are not, we have to keep hammering the message that tree planting is important, it's crucial, it's about life, like we are seeing right now. And what we have done now as a cabinet directive, the executive is going to take a frontline approach to this tree growing exercise. We've been engaging in the working out the strategy, which is now it has been passed through cabinet, but now cabinet secretaries are going to be at the front line. We have, by directive of cabinet, assigned each CS a location, a site. Where are you going? My allocation is in Vihiga County and Samburu County. So I will be going to Vihiga. Where are you getting the seedlings in 2 days? The seedlings are there, Jeff. They're already there. The first point of call for seedlings, we have our Kenya Forest Service stations across the country, but that is not enough, and we cannot be able to service every need because we are asking each Kenyan, do at least 50, plant at least 50 seedlings. That is doable. And the seedlings are available. When you walk around your driveway home, you find a very young enterprising Kenyans.
On the side of the road?
On the side of the road.
Just buy those?
Just sacrifice that in solidarity with the Kenyans that are suffering and those that have lost their lives, and to make sure that come the next cycle of drought or floods, it's not going to be in the magnitude that we see here today. Tree growing is a solution, an easy one, a low-hanging fruit that we can all take up. And the allocation of sites to cabinet secretaries is not a one-off. We have, again, by directive of cabinet, each CS will set aside a day of the month. And I have released the schedule. I released the schedule this afternoon. Beside the site, every month we set aside a day to go back to our sites and make sure that the trees are actually being nurtured to maturity. We want to walk the words of Wangari Maathai. If you have, Jeff, if you have never dug a hole, planted a tree, watered it and nurtured it to maturity, you're doing nothing. So we really want Kenyans to start doing that on a very serious note, and not just have tree planting as a CSR exercise. It is not a CSR. It cannot continue to be a pastime. It is a life and death.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, Wangari Maathai once said, best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Second best time to plant a tree. And the next best time
is now.
Hello.
Yeah.
Madam CS, good to see you.
Thank you.
All the very best. When do I get my seedlings?
When you're ready, Jeff, please get out of the station and go to Kiambu, your backyard, and plant trees.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cabinet Secretary for Environment, Climate Change and Forestry, Soy Pantuya, in the house, talking about Friday, Tree Planting Day. Just plant a tree, folks. Trees will save lives in the future. That's what she says. And it is true. You've seen in the last few weeks the devastation that the floods have caused. We're going to take a break, come back, plenty more ahead, including our interview with the Principal Secretary for Foreign Affairs